What's up, guys? I have this question. Will home ownership always be the American dream?
Mhm.
Have you had that question? Have you thought about that question? Like, will home ownership always be the American dream? Well, in this episode, we're going to talk about that and some of the challenges and also opportunities that come to play when it comes to home ownership being the American dream here in America. What's up, guys? It is Teach Me Tuesday, and I got the crew today, and we're going to jump right into this topic. And
I love this topic. Love, love, love. Because to me, it makes you think, right, Wilmot? Right? It makes me think about, when I was younger, I was the girl that picked the flower from the tree, and act like I was walking down the aisle. You get married, you buy a house. That was always the kind of like the thing that you saw on TV. It's something to aspire to, right? Having the
wow,
house with the white picket fence, like it's just, it's the look. You feel like you arrived
oh man,
in
yeah,
some shape or format because you own a house. But I feel like as I'm getting older, and I also feel like as generations are changing, honestly. My kids tell us that we were born in the 19s. I'm like, what is that supposed to like, yeah, I was born in the 19s, mom
The
and dad.
olden
I'm like
days.
we're old.
that is different though. Like,
It is.
you ever thought about that? Like, you talk about your birthday, right?
Mhm.
Like 1987, 88,
Yeah.
right? And then you talk about maybe your mom and dad's, they were still in the 19s,
19,
right?
Right.
yes.
Our kids are like, nah, we in the 2000s,
2000 shit. Y'all in the 19. And that's
So,
ancient.
well, for us older folk,
Older
so
folks.
we got
Because
some
I feel
2000s.
I feel like I feel like the younger generation home
Mhm.
ownership is not top on their priority anymore.
Mm,
It's
mm,
it's something to do at some point in life, but I feel like what we are encountering right now, a lot of them are not as eager to purchase a home right away. And I think a lot of it has to do with I think just the way that the economy is changing. Affordability is a lot different, like trying to figure out careers. I think that whole industry has changed as well.
mm.
I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
now I really do feel old. Like back in our
Well,
day.
yeah, I mean, you gotta realize though. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, I guess with the average long life span is what about 70 to 80 years. So
Mhm.
truthfully, we're almost approaching 40. We middle age.
We're
Right,
middle age.
right.
We
Middle
middle
age.
age. We ain't young adults no more. This is middle age. So let that reality slap in. But the
Mhm,
things I think that we before we even jump into like why the younger generation is not
Mhm.
truly buying into home ownership as we did and as we are, just because of the what home ownership represented to
mm,
us as or what we understood it to be, with I guess post all these world wars, you want to come, people want to come home. It was a boom for home ownership. Um,
mm, mhm.
Pricing, I mean, pricing was a lot more affordable. Getting having a lot of land and building on it was, a sense of pride and a sense of a community. And those things kind of went to have gone by the wayside, like the
Mm,
reasons and purposes for owning a home to establish some roots. Those values have kind of transitioned or changed because people are more private. People don't, you know, they don't have, they're not raised with those same values of what that home ownership
You know,
means
you
to
you hit a really good point, Gavin. And I started thinking about because I heard either a pastor say this or either I was watching a podcast of a pastor, one of the two. And someone said, and it made me really start thinking the look of the family structure has now changed. I think we
mm,
were joking, wasn't really joking. We were kind of having a conversation about like the father daughter dance and things like that. And so now, like, that is becoming like not what it's called anymore. It's called like the ball for all because the normal mom, dad, a kid or two family look, that imagery is now changing and shifting. People's households don't necessarily look like that anymore. And so I think because of that, values that goes with that depending on how your family structure is, has
Mm.
also changed, what people now deem to be the American dream, because that look of the traditional family that we're used to seeing, or we grew up, or we were kind of raised, um, to kind of have that staple in our mind, like that's not it anymore. And I think because of that, that too is also shifting, people's wants, needs, and their values and what they want to do. And then if you throw affordability on that, then I think that's another, another challenge in its own as well, because as we know, as we talk about in our real estate market updates and things like that, home value prices are changing. Interest rates are stable. They've been kind of holding
Mm.
steady the last couple, weeks, last month or so. And so, but at the same time, most people that get out of college, or most people that enter, once they're finished with high school and they're kind of entering the real world, they're trying to figure out, what to do. Do I have
Right.
the income to kind of, really support what, what lifestyle I want to live? And I think
Right.
that is skewed too. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Lamont.
Right. Right. I agree. The landscape of the way, we do business and how we live
Mhm,
lives now has, changed drastically. I've heard this saying, the world is getting smaller. You know,
mhm,
it's
Mhm.
because, more than ever now, I'm hearing people say, "Man, I moved to Africa. I moved to Europe. I moved to, Puerto Rico." You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, people are venturing different places, and
Mhm.
because they like the flexibility and mobility,
mhm,
to be able to go different places, they might say, "Well, I don't really need to own a house per se, because I want to be able to move when I want to move, go where I want to go, and I don't want to be tied down like that to a mortgage if I want to just be mobile and I'm young and I just want to be able to move like that." So
Yeah.
I can see that concept. Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, and I think overall, again, the baby boomers, us middle aged folk, and now you got, I ain't gonna say YNs, Lord Hammers. I was
You did say.
the new generation, you know, the new generation. Man, it's just like, so we the definition of like financial success has changed. It's evolved, and how we saw financial success was, man, you own a home, oh, you must be doing all right. Like, that was a
Hmm.
goal. That was the gold standard to own a
Hmm.
home. And if you're a homeowner, especially if you're a young homeowner, your peers look at you like, man, how you did that, or whatever. But that's not the case nowadays. The case is, because there are other opportunities to generate wealth,
mhm,
that these young kids I mean, not kids, but younger homeowners and future homeowners are learning, is that, with cryptocurrency and other investment opportunities that are more accessible, that they're growing up in a generation to understanding
Hmm.
different
Hmm.
ways that they can invest money.
Right.
And and even though real estate is still, if not the top, one of the top ways to create generational wealth and create, financial financial steadiness for yourself. um I think that they found success in
Hmm.
other avenues, which has made home ownership less important or less of a goal of theirs.
Right. Right.
yeah. One of the things I wanted to add to that, on that topic of like the definition of financial success and how different generations kind of view that, is what I've been seeing and hearing lately with a lot of the clients that I've been dealing with too, and just what we're seeing in the lending world, is even from like a qualification standpoint,
Mm.
that's a lot different, right? Student loans and then student loan debt has become such a barrier now into qualifying a person with, for home ownership,
Right.
because what's happening with student loans today in 2025 is, like, because of COVID, everybody's been deferring those payments. They put them in, these forbearance statuses, and now with the new administration, these student loan payments have come due. And a lot
Mm,
of people have been ignoring that. And what's happening is they truly have been like force mandating, you need to make a payment or we're going to report this on your credit. And that's
Right.
what's been happening. They started reporting so many student loans on people's
mm,
credit. And guess what? Their scores have tanked. People
wow.
who had average or great credit now has horrible credit, all because of missed student loan payments, because they just ignored, the signs and,
Mm,
just the updates that you need to start making your student loan payments. And
mm,
that right now is now impacting the newer generation to buy. And then when you also think about what people do for a living now, like I just spoke to someone today and she was trying to explain to me her income. And she was like, well, I have like non-traditional income. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? So pretty much she has all these side businesses. She does some selling at the farmer's market. She does some of this. She does some of that. And so, but none of this stuff is consistent enough and stable. She makes money, but she's not able
mm,
to prove it. We have a lot
mm,
more people that's diving into the social media world, want to be an influencer and making money in different ways off of monetizing off of
mm,
videos, but that stuff hasn't caught up to our industry and how we qualify job stability. So I think with the way that the new generation is kind of like trained and conditioned to think about work and to think about how to make money, it has definitely impacted them in regards to their views on home ownership and even qualifying for it if they even really wanted to do it.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, one thing I will say that's consistent. Uh, we will always need a place to stay.
That is
Okay.
true.
Mhm.
Real estate is that vehicle. Okay. That will always provide a place for you to lay your head at night.
Mhm.
Right. So I think that's one thing we can always stay consistent and say that, the real estate market will always be steady. You can look at the chart from the past, I don't know, wherever you can find data. The real estate market has been doing this for the last I don't know how many years, and it will continue to do that because why? We will always need a place to live. Okay, whether you're renting, you're going to be paying someone's mortgage, or whether you're buying, you'll be paying your own mortgage. You got to make that decision, which one is best for you. And I don't I and like I think we had a session, Gavin, where we talked about this renting versus buying.
Mhm.
And if you might be in a scenario where, hey, it's your time to buy, or you might be in a scenario or a situation where it's not the best time for you to buy right now.
Mhm.
Okay, there's some things you got to work on. If you don't see yourself living in that location long enough, hey, it might be best for you to rent right now in that place. But if you want to be stable, if you want to have a place where you can say, hey, I want to put roots in the ground right here in this city, in this place. I want to watch my kids grow up. I want them to go to this school. I think
Mhm.
this is a great time, or probably the best place for you to possibly look at buying a house at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it comes down to renting is pretty much making a strategic choice,
Mm,
as if you're not ready to purchase or you're choosing not to purchase. Just have some strategy behind renting. It's not a failure that you don't own a home. It's You just have to be strategic in understanding, well, this is why I'm renting,
mm,
and this is why it makes sense. But weighing why, well, with the ultimate goal being the American dream of home ownership,
mm-hmm,
and what that can do for you in your future, whether it's, when I say immediate, I mean even within the first 1 to 3 years of being a homeowner, how does that change? How does that benefit me in the wealth that I'm establishing or I'm earning?
mm,
What does that do for me short term? And then
mm,
also long term, what does that mean for me and my future and my family? Um, so those are all things to think about. But just want to make sure that people do understand that, again, if you're renting strategically, it's not a failure. You're doing what you have to do at this point in time, and um, and then as you prepare yourself to be able to become a homeowner or
right.
purchase,
Yeah.
an investor, homeowner, however you want to, whatever you look at.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's very, very good advice. And definitely, I definitely, before we wrap up for today, I'd like to piggyback on what Wilmot said. I mean, real estate to me, and I think it's just, it is, it is what it is. That real estate will always be, in my opinion, the way to go to kind of really, jumpstart that generational wealth, start jumpstart, that financial stability for you and your
Mhm.
family, having a stable home, because everyone's going to need a place to stay. And
Mhm.
so we bring you guys these topics and we tell you guys these things just as one, as an educational piece so that you can prepare and just be aware of the things that you need in order to make this a reality for you, if this is a dream of yours or not. As long as it's somewhere on the list, I would tell you that preparation is always the key. So just making sure that you're prepared for whatever that looks like for you. And the key to getting prepared is making sure that you team up with mortgage lenders and real estate professionals like Wilmot and Gavin and myself, so that we can help guide you through that process, because the dream can be a reality. You just have to put in the work to make it happen. So guys,
Right.
we thank you once again for, tuning in for this episode of Teach Me Tuesday. Once again, if you guys have any questions regarding this or all things mortgage, reach out to us on our various social media platforms, and we'll see you guys next week. We know we did Teach Me Tuesday on a Wednesday, but hey, we still brought you guys the information.
Teach me Wednesday.
Teach Me
Teach
Tuesday,
me.
yeah. But you guys have a great week, and we'll talk with you guys later.
All right.
Have a good one.
Peace.